And you know, talk to me about what your thoughts were upon. You've seen the video of the arrest of George Floyd and the ultimate death of George Floyd, which is now being prosecuted as a murder. What were your thoughts when you saw that video?
The first thing was I was appalled. There's no other way to say it. I don't understand it. Having investigated hundreds and hundreds of uses of force, having been involved in uses of force, what I don't understand is if you take somebody down to the ground and you handcuff them, the fight is over pretty much. Why he wasn't placed in a patrol car by other officers who maybe were not involved in the use of force, which is pretty common, I don't get. And then to sit there for, 8 minutes and 43 seconds? Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling.
I think that's why there's so much anger about the degree, third degree versus first degree or second degree murder. And I think a lot of people are outraged about that.
And the delay that it took before charges were filed, when it seemed so obvious to literally everyone. I haven't spoken to a single person who said, I think that was appropriate. Nope. I have not a single person, law enforcement or not, who thought that was an appropriate and reasonable use of force. And you know, if any of us had done that, if somebody had gotten video of me with my knee on somebody's neck, I would have been arrested immediately and charged immediately. And I think that's what some of the frustration is here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, Mark, and part of the issue too is this. When you have a police officer that is accused of committing a crime, and we'll go with the theory that everybody's innocent until proven guilty, because that's our justice system. But in this case, they fired him right away and they filed charges. But, you know, in our department and other departments, it's kind of, you know, okay, you're criminal, so your internal investigation to terminate piggybacks on the criminal investigation. They've kind of done things a little backwards, but based on the evidence, like you said and Ellen said, I don't see any innocent here. You know, he did what he did. I don't know why, and I don't know why the other officers stood around and didn't jump in. You know, and I think the sheriff touched on it too. Training. I think training is really lacking in certain departments around the nation. We had the incident in Cleveland where I think it was a 12-year-old African-American kid with a toy gun.
Right.
And they drove right up on this kid and pulled their guns out. I don't know what tactics they're learning, but that's not how you do it. And no sane person would do that. And they were told, well, the gun's fake. Well, you know what? I don't know if the gun's fake or not, but you contain the park, call the person out, and then effect your arrest or your detention. But to drive right up, I don't know who teaches that tactic. No department I know of.
Yeah, that's kind of cowboy, isn't it? It's kind of the stuff you see in the movies where they just drive up and engage, but that doesn't really happen. That's not safe for anybody.
No, and I don't know any law enforcement instructor in any academy or any seasoned veteran would tell you about that. I mean, when I came on in the day, we used to search people and we used to tell them, put your hands on the hood of the car. And then you'd walk up behind them and you'd pat them down. Well, you never had control of the person you were detaining, whether suspect or innocent. So, you know, I watched guys do that, and I'm like, that doesn't look very safe to me. And so, you know, our department and other departments teach, you know, grab a hold of their hands behind their back and then pat them down because you're controlling this person. The other way, you're not controlling them. But like you said, that was the cowboy mentality.
Yeah. All right, and we're going to take a moment here. We want you to stay with us and just keep an eye on what you're looking at here. Our Leanne Suter is out, we presume still in kind of the Melrose area. What are you seeing out there? Look, Leanne.
There's a huge procession, as you can see, of the officers that are moving from Melrose and Fairfax, now headed south. But what we just saw a second ago, I'm not sure what's going on down the street here on Rosewood into the neighborhood. This is a residential area off to the west of Fairfax. Yeah, and I'm hearing something's happening in that neighborhood. That's where we saw a group of protesters, or, you know, a group of people that went running back in there. That's where the officers went after them. But clearly something is happening in the back in the neighborhood back behind here. We see a SWAT unit that's in there. You could hear what appeared to be some kind of flashbang or non-lethal going off in that neighborhood. Yeah, this is just a very fluid situation out here. Just it keeps changing. So they cleared out of the area of Melrose and Fairfax. All of the officers left all of a sudden. As soon as they left the area, then that's when all of I have to call them vandals, because as soon as they left, then everyone ran back in to the stores that were here along Fairfax, and once again started running back into that shoe store to try to steal some more things out of there. Then there was another flood of officers as they come back in into the neighborhood as they try to keep some peace around here. I don't know, again, as I'm trying to figure out what is happening in the neighborhood, what the situation may be back in there, if something may have taken a turn back in that area. For the most part, most of the folks have been staying to the main thoroughfares, but this is the first time I've really seen them run into a neighborhood. And I see that it appears that police are really starting to set up in that area. We'll see if we can get in there and find out exactly what's going on. I know we have some video to show you. Take a look at this. This is what happened just a short time ago as soon as officers left the area there at Fairfax and Melrose. Take a look at this. Yeah, if we had the video to show you, but we had numerous M80s going off, so I'm not sure if you guys got to see that or not, but we got caught by one that unfortunately, went off right by us. But clearly something happening in the neighborhood here in the Fairfax district. We'll see what we can, we'll start to make our way in there in just a minute here, see if we can find out exactly what's happening in that area and get you guys an idea.
Curious situation.
Some of the patrol cars might be moving.
That's a big
ahead,
response for that residential neighborhood. Do they think they have a pretty high value target or somebody that they're looking at? I guess you don't know yet. That's just kind of a rhetorical question, I guess. But for those folks to be heading into that small little residential street, it looks like.
Exactly. I mean, that's what makes me wonder what is going on in that area. There obviously is something that they are very concerned about in that area. So that's why there was such a large response. That's where we did see a large group run into the neighborhood in that vicinity, that direction. I can see they're now starting to leave. The officers are leaving as they're trying to find a way out of that. So whatever was going on there appears that may have been taken care of or may have cleared out. But this remains very active here. As I take a look here. Yeah, the skirmish line remains in place here at Fairfax and Rosewood. This line hasn't moved. It's been all the other officers that we've seen farther north up here. These guys, they've been just shifting all over. And I mean, they literally go from spot to spot, kind of chasing the hot spots, if you want to say, is trying to go to where they're needed, trying to break up the groups that suddenly gather. We've been seeing enough, quite a few folks that just suddenly pop up in one location, starting a problem or just gathering in one group, and that's when we'll see the officers come back in to try to take care of it. But as soon as they leave, then, you know, everybody comes right back to the same spot. So certainly a very fluid and, you know, concerning situation, especially for all the officers out here and for everybody that remains out here on the streets.
Well, for you guys too, you just said you had
an
M80 thrown at you, right? Did you just say you had an M80 thrown in your direction?
I will say it wasn't thrown in our direction. I will say that they threw it in the middle of the street. It caught me by surprise. I just didn't see them throw it. But we have seen that repeatedly today. They're very large. I would say they're about this large in caliber. One of the officers, in fact, brought one over to me and said, this is what they're throwing, these very large M80s that they were throwing right into the officers. We saw a couple of times today where some of those fireworks actually bounced off an officer. I saw it bounce off his shoulder at one point. The ones that went off right by us was just right next to us. So it was a very loud explosion right in the middle of the intersection. But we've seen fireworks all day today. Lots of folks throwing all kinds of fireworks, but especially a lot of those M80s.
So interesting to see the aerial shot on the right side of your screen, and then your shot, Leanne, from your vantage point. But definitely there's some movement happening. We'll have to figure out what exactly they were doing in that short little alleyway. Such a large police presence there and firefighters as well.
Absolutely. I'll see if I can get an answer as to what may have been going on in there. But as you can see, I mean, they've cleared out now for the most part. They're still sitting back there. So it appears that they just are following these groups as they move through the area, move through the neighborhoods. They're kind of following along as they make their way throughout the area here.
Yeah. All right, Leanne. Well, thank you. Well, you are watching Eyewitness News at 11. I'm Ellen Lave along with Mark Brown, and we're on a little early, like about 7 hours early. I think we went on a little before 4 o'clock. And
Yeah.
been watching these protests happen throughout the city. We've been concentrating on this Fairfax district, but also it's been happening near Beverly Center. It was happening in Beverly Hills, and now